Welcome to the HU Movemakers podcast, where we highlight folks that are blazing the trail and making moves in Howard culture. Hey everybody, welcome to the HU Movemaker podcast, where we highlight folks that have contributed to the legacy of Howard University at the highest levels. Today we have a special guest, man. This guest is so special that she's verified on Instagram. That's how special she is. I mean, Delta Sigma Theta.
Ooh, yep.
Alpha chapter, right?
Alpha chapter DST in the house. Yeah.
NABJ, and she's so smart that she got to trust these scholarships. You know, Howard don't give out scholarships to nobody. So she must be smart. Graduated magna cum laude, right?
Oh my gosh, you're going down the whole resume.
Hey,
that's
man,
amazing.
we're going to get right into it. I mean, she's who's who. National Society of Collegiate Scholars. She's from Houston, Texas.
H-Town.
iHeartRadio, CBS Radio, but currently she's in Cape Girardeau, putting on for the culture, representing the culture. CBS News anchor. We got none other than Brittany Jacob. Brittany, welcome.
Woo! Thank you. Thanks, Josh. I appreciate that. That's a cool.
Hey, yo, I gotta let the people know that I only get the movers and shakers, man. And right now I got Brittany Jacob on. So Brittany, right now you in Cape Girardeau. You know, I've interviewed a few anchors, man, and they tell me it's a grind. It ain't all glitz and glamour. And you in Cape Girardeau, and I gotta be honest, I ain't never been to Cape Girardeau. Probably never gonna go to Cape Girardeau. But tell me, you know, let's just walk through the life of Brittany. Where, you know, your inspiration, your current career path, you know, how you got to where you are now. Where does it start? Because you're obviously super smart, beautiful, talented.
Thank you.
Go ahead, break it down for me.
No, I'm just still laughing at you mentioned the scholarships. My interest, the scholarships, magna cum laude. No, that's all cool and that's great. And I think that's, you know, that is where you start. Like my little brother right now is at Howard, and he is a freshman, a rising sophomore, and I told him that GPA matters, and so it starts right there. But honestly, I'm gonna back up a little bit. So my grandfather, who used to be a sharecropper in Louisiana, he wanted to be a journalist, and then he didn't have the opportunity because, you know, as a man growing up in the 50s, he had to provide for his family, and so he was not able to be a journalist. My mom then went on to be, you know, major in journalism at University of Houston and Texas Southern University. She transferred. She wanted to be a journalist, and then she had me, and so those dreams kind of got deferred or, you know, put away. And so that's kind of it's something that's all I feel like it's been running through my blood, and that's how I kind of got started. And I actually have a theater background. When I first got to Howard, I was a film major.
Wow.
And yeah, and I was like, I love theater and I love film, but I just wasn't finding work in internships. So I ended up going back to like what I thought that I wanted to be, and that was.
So how much is what you do right now like acting in theater? Because I gotta believe you gotta get into character.
No, that's a good question. Honestly, it's what I'm gonna say. So the content of what we're talking about every day on the news is credible, factual news that's supported in information from reliable sources. But in regards to like the presentation and the eye contact, being able to relate to people and being able to be personable, and, you know, using your diaphragm, all that background and presentation, that I think my theater experience has come in handy with me being on the anchor desk and being in the field and being able to report. So
did you always, even at a young, cause I'm hearing your voice right now. I mean, you got that voice, that powerful voice. Did you always have that type of command and that type of voice, even as a kid?
You know, it's funny. My little cousins used to be, I hate to be kind of like harsh with this, but they would always call me like the Oreo or, you know, the girl that has that preppy voice. All my friends and cousins in Louisiana.
But it's funny though. It's funny how when you're a kid, that's not cool, but when you're an adult, that's like
Right.
You got to have that. You know what I mean?
Right. So you own it. You own it. And so from church speeches to, just theater plays, you start to hone in your craft, and then, you own it. And even to this day, I'm still working on hitting my consonants and making sure that that I am using the right vocabulary and using the right words and talking from my diaphragm. I just had a coaching session the other day. She was like, "You sound nasally." And I'm like, okay, well, I need to talk from my diaphragm. So,
Wow.
yeah.
So even still, you're doing professional development. Is that something you do? Is that something that they require at work, or is that something you do outside of work?
Both. They offer some opportunities for growth and some training and this free coaching session, but I'm constantly always trying to send my work to mentors and to people that I know will have my best interest in the field, whether it's a older Delta or somebody from Howard, a big sister from Howard or something like that. You gotta constantly have people in your corner to hold you accountable.
So you get to Howard, you're a film, you're a theater arts major, right?
So film major, theater minor.
Theater minor. So did you? Was your family like, you're not going to Howard and majoring in no theater, or was that your choice?
Low key. I mean, one thing about my family, they supported anything I did because they knew that I was going to bring it and bring, excellence or whatever I did. However, they suggested that I have a more structured career. And so when I wasn't finding internships, there's a lot of young people, sometimes you just cannot find an internship in college. I was like, maybe this is a good opportunity to transition to something that's a little bit more structured and that I still feel like it's a part of my talent and my purpose. And that's kind of how journalism came along, and internships and TV journalism was imperative to like where I am now.
So when you're at Howard, what type of internships were you able to get?
Sure. No. Okay. So my first internship was at ABC 13 KTRK in Houston. So I used my sophomore summer to intern with, which is a local ABC 13. If you're from Houston, you know KTRK and you know all the people there. So I did that. I worked at a theater, Alley Theater, for the summer, and then I also worked at Banana Republic. I was hustling that summer, but
that's dope. So I mean, because you're from Houston, right?
H-Town all day, yeah.
So
Houston.
when you had that internship, you basically went home. Were you working with people who you grew up watching on TV?
Yep.
Oh, that's dope. That's dope. Any networking?
Absolutely. These are like moms in the industry to me to this day. I keep those people absolutely looking at my work, those people, just talking to them, checking in. When I first started, I was like, which color lipstick looks better on me? I mean, you've got to have people in your corner. You got to.
So, I mean, what were your duties as an intern? Were you just getting like the best coffee ever, or were you doing some real stuff?
No, we were doing real stuff. So at the end of our internship, we were supposed to have a newscast and also produce packages at the end. And so we were out shadowing some of the reporters. We were filming our own stuff. Well, actually, we couldn't shoot our own stuff, but we had to edit it. It was just some laws with some of the interns touching the equipment. But other than that, I had to go and turn a story the same day as a reporter. Of course, it didn't get to air on television, but it was helping me toward what we call a newsreel. And that's like a resume, a TV resume. That's what is golden in our industry. When you apply for interviews, you have to have a bomb newsreel.
And you got that bomb newsreel, don't you?
I'm working toward it.
You got it. You got it. So yeah. Now when you're at Howard, is the stuff that you learned at Howard, is it applicable to what you're doing in the internship? Did you feel prepared?
And yes and no. So the internship, you don't, as most people know at Howard, you don't get into your major courses and classes until toward the end of your career at Howard. So your senior year. Well, I was interning my sophomore and junior year going to my senior year. I also interned at WJLA, which Annalise, she works there.
Shout out to Anna. Shout out to her. She's
yes. she is doing awesome. And another colleague of mine that I keep in contact with, and then also NBC4, Jimmy Olabanji went there. Actually, I don't know if Jimmy went to Howard or not, but anyways, but you have to get that experience with your internships. In Howard, I didn't have those core classes just yet. So you got to get that real lifetime experience in the internships, and then you can apply it to your classes instead of it being vice versa.
So you're saying you got to get those internships, those opportunities, you got to be doing that while you're at Howard.
Absolutely.
And not wait until after you graduate.
Absolutely. Because
so are these internships that you had, are they paid?
No.
So you know what I was thinking, like if these internships aren't paid, that eliminates a whole group of people who don't have like the resources to kind of go into that field. You know what I mean? Like if your parents can't really say, okay, I'm gonna supplement your housing, you know. I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I do feel like there equity in internships, and I've always advocated for paid internships, but I think it eliminates the people that are not as hungry, because if you're hungry, you do it like I did. I mean, like I said, I worked that summer. I had a part-time job with Banana Republic. I had a part-time job working for the theater, and I utilized my time wisely. So you do what you got to do. And that's another thing Howard taught me, is like, you got to put in the work.
So, I mean, even you were at Howard, all right? So you got internships in the summertime. What organizations are you involved in while you're at Howard?
Ooh, of course you had to join your state club. So I was a part of the Texas club. And that was kind of some of the initial ones that I joined. And then I got within the school communications student council pretty fast.
Did you have one of them paid jobs in student council?
The paid, what is it called?
One of those paid jobs, one of them paid student government positions? I'm jealous of all y'all.
Low key. Well,
man, I'm salty.
UGSA, we had to work. We really had to work to get payment. And honestly, it was first of all, I could have had a full-time job during college, or I could have been working for the student government and getting some type of stipend, and knowing Howard, you just never know when you got it anyways. And so it was small, but I think the biggest thing was the fact that I was serving my peers and that we were putting on some awesome events.
Was that experience helpful later on in your career?
Oh, absolutely. Like, I was the PR director for UGSA, and that taught me how to manage people, because, I mean, managing peers, I mean, that's something that I think most people do in their careers to this day. So, I mean, so Texas Club, UGSA, of course, Delta Sigma Theta.
Sigma Theta. What was that like? What was it like to be a Delta at Howard?
We had a really good group. My line,
Greek life was not a game. Like, what was that like? Walk me through this. Walk me through. I mean, did you always know that you wanted to be a Delta?
That's a good question. Yes, I did. So
you got Deltas in the family? What is it?
My mom is a Delta.
Oh, your mom wasn't playing.
Actually, she let me choose whichever way I wanted to go. And I remember upperclassmen that were like, you need to consider both. You know, you need to consider other organizations too. And I'm not going to talk against any other organizations, but I considered those. And while they were great, I think the women at Delta, they just exuded exactly what I wanted to be, you know, those beautiful, strong Black women that were in everything. We were running the yard. I mean, it was like, okay, that's me. But yeah, I've always had a heart for Delta. I grew up around Deltas, and I actually secretly have this shirt when I was in Girl Scouts that says Future Delta. And so, I don't know. It's just those little things that are ingrained in your brain when you're little.
So, like, what were some of the things that, you know, if somebody is at Howard and they're a freshman now and they want to be a Delta, like, what are some things that they should do to improve their chances of one day becoming a Delta, if they're so fortunate?
If they're so fortunate. You said that, I didn't, okay? No, I think that's a good question. And I think, you know, what I've always said to, like, young women, it's, you make the organization. The organization does not make you. And I think there's so many times people want it for the wrong reasons. People want to be a part of Delta so they can step, so they can stroll, so they can wear their nelia and be some big person, you know, on campus and be somebody. But it's like, no, like go back to our founders and go back to the women that have paved the way before us. These were phenomenal women. And honestly, in a lot of the Divine Nine organizations, and not just Delta, I'll give a shout out to my sister sorors. These are women that paved the way, that really stuck their neck out during a time where it wasn't easy, with service, you know, and then with sisterhood. And so I think that you have to go back and take a look at, what do you ultimately want in life? And what can you contribute to the organization? And, you know, I think that it's such a hard time period for women, because you're still finding yourself in college. For most people, they still are. And so, but you don't have to have all the answers, but just be convicted and know like who you are and what you want to bring to the organization. Because again, you make the organization, it doesn't make you.
Alpha chapter a little bit different though, wouldn't you say? A little bit different. Wouldn't you say? Or am I tripping?
It's
a little bit different.
It's Alpha chapter. I mean, these are the founders are our prophyte. So
I'm just saying it's a little bit different. That's all I'm saying. You know, when I was at Howard, the Deltas were, you know, were definitely running a lot of stuff. So what was it like coming out? I know your parents were probably there. Your mom was probably there, and she had to be super proud. What was that feeling like coming out?
Man, oh my gosh, you're gonna bring me to tears. No, these are tears of joy, but it's like, I mean, it's like when you work for something for a long period of time and you have people that you share an experience with, it's something like no other. I mean, my family, you're right, family, I think I was like about 10 deep, and my family came from Texas to come and witness this, but it was just like crossing those sands was just, I mean, it's not like, you know, like the PWIs, fraternity and sorority. It's like this.
Yeah, paint the picture. What was it like?
I just think like the biggest thing for me is what you learn and the things that will stick with you for life. And so, for example, like my line sisters are some of my best friends to this day. You know, these are people that we support each other in the weddings and baby showers and graduations, and you know, even to as far as like people, unfortunately, deaths that happen, all of the major things that happen in life, you have a group of people that genuinely and deeply love you and care for you, and that literally will ride or die for you, and you support just their business. And so just having that support system and knowing how to, I think one thing that's important to note is, you know, African American women, it's like there are some powerhouses within Delta on the grand scale, and even down to Alpha chapter powerhouses. And so knowing how to interact with women of a like mind and have a goal and to be able to push forward together, it's just something that is unique and it's special. And that sisterhood, it's a lifetime, it's a commitment. And I love the women of Delta. Howard Advancement put on like convocation and commencement. Cool. And that was so awesome. And it was something so subtle that people didn't know about, but that's when I had the opportunity to, like I said, commencement and convocation. So I, you know, got to have conversations with Felicia Rashad, conversations with Spike Lee, conversations with Dr. Cornel West. Like, that's amazing. Those are experiences I will never forget. Seeing AJ and Free backstage, you know, and walking with, you know, Supreme Court Justice Sonia Sotomayor down. I mean, it's things like that you'll never forget. Even better one, like, not to get political, but, you know, seeing our first Black president win, you know, I was there in the Howard Ballroom and seeing people's, you know, the tears on their face when former President Barack Obama won the White House, and being at Howard during that. So, and being able to shake his hand just like 6 months earlier because he had come to convocation.
Wow, that's pretty cool. You graduate. That was a magna cum laude? Is that what it was?
magna cum laude.
What's that mean? That's like a 3.8 or something like that?
That's somewhere, it's not Summa. It's right under Summa. So I think it's like a 3.7 or higher.
Damn, you was a nerd. So you was a nerd.
I was serious about the grades.
Dang, I mean, that's serious. So how did you get a GPA that high? How do people do that?
That's a good question.
Like, was it study habits? Were you just naturally smart? Like, how did you do that?
That's a good question. Like I tell my brother, like I told you, he's a freshman, rising sophomore. And for me, it's obviously learning the material with a little bit of dash of finesse. But that comes, and I think that it's important also to maintain relationship with your professors. I mean, I beat that in his head because I think the professors have so many students that they're working with. And, you know, whether it's a difference between an 89 or a 90, maybe that relationship, you just never know what's going to take your grade up. So, of course, learning the information, being committed, and also getting some good classmates, you know, some good friends within your class. Like if you have to miss class.
We can talk about that. I mean, just the importance, because I was always like, I hung around with a dope group, but I was, you know, my friends had really great grades. I think I graduated with like a 3.1 or something like that. But for me, that was like, I think in high school, I probably had like a 2.6. So when I had a 3.1, I was like, oh, damn, okay. How did you attribute to, you know, that to getting such a high GPA, you know, graduating with that?
Well, first, I did not spend time in Club UGL. Okay. Once I realized that really was a party, that was, I knew my priorities. And like, again, I always just go back to what I tell my brother is work hard, play hard. I think, you know, you work hard, you deserve to have fun. But I don't feel like I deserve to have fun until I know that I put in the work. And so I think people get that all mixed up. I mean, I feel like you need to prioritize. And for me, it was, like I said, making sure you know that material. Because at the end of the day, think about it. You're paying for this. This is your investment. I mean, there's no use. I think one thing about Howard is, yeah, you want to have fun. You want to have those experiences that you'll never forget. But don't forget that you're leaving there with either some type of student loan debt or some type of bill, or if you got a full ride, then cool, good, you know, good for you. But that's money. And so it's like, why try to, I hate to use this word, but why try to dig off when you can, when it's your investment? I mean, when I see people that fail classes, I'm like, that's silly. You just paid about like $1,500 to $3,000 for that class, and you just failed.
Damn.
You know, so I think that's silly.
So, okay, you graduate. What's your first career? Because now you're accomplished when you're graduating. So I'm assuming you stepped right into being a CEO or of something. What happens when you graduate?
No, not at all. So that is always the big question is like, what do you do after? It's what do I do next? You know, sometimes people go into their passions, or they got a job out initially, or, you know, sometimes people want to just jump and go straight for the money, whatever, or go to grad school. And it depends on your industry and your path. For me, I would say that I got a little sidetracked with money because I got some offers to go into media sales, which is pretty much the background of everything I do. Sales is what keeps all of the, you know, advertising and marketing. It's what keeps the TV, radio, newspaper industry going. And so I got in the background so I can start making commissions. And for 6 years,
How was that? Was you making money?
Nope.
Why weren't you making money? Were you not good at it, or what?
No, I think I was great at it, actually. I mean, eventually, these sales industry, they pick young people to get out there. Better. Yeah, and I fell for it. But you know what? It taught me a lot, though. Everything.
So you found yourself back online again. You thought you was done pledging. You found yourself back online.
Pledging for these companies, exactly.
So what were you selling? Like, walk me through a day in the life of that.
Yeah, so I was a salesperson. So iHeartRadio. So your radio stations, people know, like, Hot 99.5 or 95.5, any other radio station you listen to in Chicago or in DC. I was selling the commercial space. So I would have to meet with clients. I'd have to cold call. I mean, like Excel sheet list of like 50 calls to see if somebody could take my meeting, to potentially see if, they would want to market their business on my radio station.
So, okay. So, and you did that for 6 years. So I got to imagine in the back of your mind, I guess somewhere somebody told you you need to be in front of the camera, or maybe that was something that was keeping you up at night. I mean, what was going on? What were those thoughts like when you were going home at night, getting into bed? Like, what was going through your mind?
All of that, honestly. But it took a while to get there, because the radio sales is actually a pretty fun industry. I mean, we got like free tickets to Kanye, free tickets to Rihanna, free tickets. I got to meet French Montana, and all types of music artists that come through the state industry. And so it took me a while. I was like, is this what I want to do? Is this what I see my life being like forever? And, and that wasn't it. And I started studying, completely went off on the hinges, started studying for the GMAT. Actually, I'm using this book. Started studying for the GMAT, which was, for business school, and taking classes on that. And
are you studying for business school now?
No, these are still all my books from 2016.
Oh, okay.
I'm using it for my mouse.
Oh,
but
okay.
I still have all those books because I wanted to go to grad school. So it was that age, that quarter century life crisis, where you're like, what do I want to do with my life? And yeah, a lot of people would say, man, have you considered journalism? I'm like, actually, that was my major. And, you should be in front of the camera. You have a presence about you. You can do this. And it's something I'm like, okay, maybe I should need to give this like a real try.
So you say a real try. What does that happen in the form of you quitting your job, or like, I mean, because that's, even though they're both related to each other, they're like super distant cousins, like,
exactly.
How did you make that transition from being a salesperson to being in front of the camera?
That was very hard, honestly. I would say this secret sauce, or just part of my journey. First of all, I prayed about it, and I was like, is this even the right thing for me to do? And second, I started finding like a mentor, somebody. I was like, God, send me somebody that can help me do this transition, that can motivate me and hold me accountable. And it's so funny. God seemed like the perfect person. This lady with NPR, worked for NPR, and she is kind of still a friend, mentor. And she was like, you can do it. Call up news directors, get your resume reel together, and then go to NABJ. So NABJ, the convention happens every year, National Association of Black Journalists. Anybody that's African-American in the journalism industry, I highly suggest being a part of NABJ, because the network there is phenomenal. And so I went to NABJ. When I say I went to the career fair and went to every single booth pitching myself, saying like, I just need an opportunity.
But how do you don't have a reel at this point, do you?
Oh, I did. So rewind, I ended up hiring, first of all, my profile let me use her microphone, and I think I got a camera. I hired somebody for like $100 or something like that to just shoot me doing like some stand-ups. And so I had a resume reel put together from 2010, like way back in my college days, but that wasn't going to suffice because I didn't even look like that anymore. Your resume reel is supposed to be you, exactly what representing you right now. And so yeah, I had to get that together. And imagine having a 9-to-5 job and doing this on the side as you're trying to pursue what you think are your dreams.
Is that how you got your first anchor position through NABJ?
Yes, my first reporter position. I was a reporter.
And where was that at?
So that's where I am, where I am now. And
Wow. So you on your first stop right now?
Yes.
Oh no, because I don't want to.
First stop. Technically, this is my first TV stop. Yes.
Wow.
Of 4 years. Yeah, and
And
almost 4 years.
You've been there 4 years.
Almost.
I know you
November.
must. I know you must love it out there. I know you. No, I'm not gonna make you say nothing bad, but tell me what that's like, because when as a kid, when we see these reporters on TV, we assume that they balling. We assume anybody on TV making money. You know what I mean?
Right.
We assume they ain't got no stress. You know what I mean? They look good. They hair done, nails done. I want to be like them. They get to present the news to us. They talk excellent. They talk proper and all of that.
Man,
Stop me if I'm lying about any of this.
I love to. No, I'm just sitting here listening to it because it's completely not the lifestyle at all, at least for right now. And I'm gonna say anybody that you like, Tamron Hall, anybody that has quote unquote made it, go back and look at their resume at the very beginning. Everybody has most people have paid their dues, and paying your dues looks like being, starting off in small markets and being in places that you don't recognize the name, maybe.
So, I mean, you're in Cape Girardeau. I mean, I looked up some stuff on Cape Girardeau on Wikipedia. Small town. It's like 35,000 people. It's like 15% black. I mean, you go from this fun place called the Mecca to this exciting career in media sales. Now you're forced to kind of like, I don't know, like hit the reset button almost, like start all the way over. And do you have family in Cape Girardeau?
No, not at all. All my family.
I mean, walk me through, like, let's talk about your first day. I know you was excited about the opportunity, like, oh yeah, okay, cool, yeah, I'm doing this, blah blah blah. I finally got it. But you get there. At what point does like some type of culture shock or reality set in where this is a great opportunity, but this is gonna be some work?
Yeah, well, I think first it was during my interview when, we started talking. I figured like, okay, what is the salary going to be like? That was the biggest thing for me, because I was making one thing here in Washington, D.C., and this is the salary here. So
can you talk about like maybe what a range is? Like what does a beginning person in your role, what can they expect to make?
Honestly, it depends on the market, but I'll give you a range. I mean, I've had friends that made in their first market, hold your breath for this one, as little as $15,000. That is, I think, horrible. And I don't know of any situations like that anymore. But I would say a fair range. It can be, it really depends, but somewhere between 25 and about $45,000.
Yeah, I mean, Annalise and AJ, they both said the same thing, and I think it was under 30 for both of them. So okay, so I mean, obviously the money's important.
I took a huge pay cut, and that was, so to answer your question, it was about, it was almost somewhere close to like a $60,000 pay cut, to get back to, get back into TV news and get back into journalism. And I think that's a sacrifice, but, I think, again, like I was saying before, you have to see big picture, and I think that's what's important. And it's what this means for my journey here. And so I think that was the hardest part initially. And then second part, I think, for me growing up in Houston, I'm used to being the only person, one of the only 2 or 3 Black people in Vanguard Middle School. I went to a pretty diverse high school. Then I went to Howard, and then, then I'm here. So I think that I wouldn't say it was so much a shock, because I knew what I was getting myself into, but I was, for 2 years, the only African-American woman at my station.
What are some things that you do right now to stay motivated? Or when you first started, what were some things that kind of got you through those dark days?
No, that's a very good question. It always goes back Josh, to community. I think that having people that you know have your back, and honestly, it doesn't matter the race, just know the people that you know will have your back. I thought for us also going to NABJ every year, I think that was a good, like, you know, taking the pulse, you know, just getting back to what I know, and people that, you know, people that look like me, being able to see them and see that they're thriving, and that, you know, that there is potential. And so, but I think it was community and finding those friends that have your back and that you could talk to about, girl, where are you going to get your hair done? You know, who's the nail lady that you're going to? Let's just sit and have a wine night. You know, that was so important for me. So my annual,
that's like the youth media day. Yeah.
Yep. My youth media day is something that I came up with 3 years ago. So that was kind of the beginning of me being here. And it's like, you know, you just can't be in this community and not be able to have some type of impact. It's just not in me. It's not in me. And so I felt like there was a handful of African-American people at other stations in the market, like the ABC and the NBC. There were those people, and I wanted to get them all together and to show the youth, like, hey, I don't know what you want to be when you grow up, but consider journalism, and also just start. Let's just get together and empower these youth that, like, y'all are smart, y'all are great, you have so much potential. I just feel like they don't hear that enough, and so that's an event during Black History that I put together with the African American Museum here, and also the university, and got some sponsors together, and it's awesome. It's a 1-day all hands on training event for you.
Wow, that's amazing. Tell me about, you know, some cool stories that you might have been able to cover. I know that Cape Girardeau ain't exactly, you know, New York City, but you know, I did see that you did cover a high profile murder case. You know, not trying to give you props for covering a murder case, but
no. That's another thing, Josh. It's like people don't underestimate, like, sometimes the market that you're in and being able to have access to some stories. I mean, if I was right now working in New York or working in Chicago, I would probably be at the bottom of the totem pole. So any really cool, good stories, I'd have to be fighting people that have been in the industry for 30, 20, 15 years before I could probably get some access to those stories. Whereas here, you know, that saying, like, you are either a small fish, you know, in a big pond, or a big fish in a small pond. Right now, I would say that, you know, it's that big fish in a small pond, because it's like, I've had the opportunity to interview governors and directly, you know, one-on-one interviews with, you know, Democratic and Republican governor. And, you know, like I said, murder case where for 2 weeks, I'm going back and forth to a trial and being able to interview, you know, the family.
What is that like? Like, you was just doing media sales. Now you covering murder cases and you're interviewing families. I mean, isn't that, I don't know. And that's when I say, when I say acting, it's not so much acting like you being fake. You know what I'm saying? It's more so acting like, you know, you gotta be a professional, basically. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. And honestly, I would say for me personally, it was not that different, because at the end of the day, one thing about media sales and TV, you have to be able to connect with people on a very authentic level. And I think that that's what was key. I mean, at the end of the day, I may be connecting with somebody on this level to sell them a product that they may need, or I'm connecting with them so that they can tell me their story. And so, and to be able to trust my news and my news organization, and to trust me with the information that they're about to tell me. So I think there's just a level of not acting whatsoever, but just empathizing and being able to relate to people.
Like, does it mean anything to your boss or whoever you report to that, hey, you need more followers on social media? Is that a thing at all?
Yes.
Really?
I'm just going to be honest. Like, nowadays, news directors, I would say for the most part, I'm not going to speak for all bosses and for all people, but they want us to have, most news directors want their talent to have a social media presence. Why? Because you have a more broad reach. First off, like, I can talk to people about my story on Instagram and Facebook in Louisiana, Texas, New York, DC, Chicago. I can talk to everybody. And so millennials now are not just watching they're not watching the news. They're on social media. They're, reposting things from Twitter. And so I just think that you want to be where your viewers are. You want to be where your audience is. And so I think it's imperative to have a presence on social media. Now, as far as like followers, I think it's like an unspoken rule. Like, you have the amount of followers you have is kind of like your popularity, or it's your it's your reach. And so if you have organically gotten people to follow you and to follow your platform, then that speaks volumes to a news director that they would want to hire, because at the end of the day, it's still TV, and it's still TV ratings. How are you, again, trying to engage people, bring them in? And if you're a news personality, at the end so yeah, I'm reporting factual news, but I'm a news personality. And so you want to be engaging, and you want to be able to want people to trust your work and to come back every night to your information. My Instagram account, I'm transitioning it from just being a personal account to also being a professional news personality account.
Okay.
And so that's how the verified check mark was able to come.
Yeah. How does somebody get verified? Like, you guys are leaders. You guys are the cool ones. How do people get verified?
That's a good question. I think many people do it in different ways, depending on, like, if you're Kim Kardashian or, Brittany Jacob in Cape Girardeau. So for me, sometimes our web department may handle a lot of our verifications. So they'll submit it on behalf of us with our newsroom. And other times you may have to submit it for yourself and just say, hey, I don't want any imposters out there, utilizing my name or reposting my things. So here I am. Can you just make sure this account is unlocked and it's for me? And so, yeah, I believe you just submit your stuff to the Instagram people, the Instagram angels.
Right. They anoint you, give you that blue mark. So
right.
So what kind of stories are you are covering right now, and what and how are you getting stories?
Right now is probably 95% COVID-19 related.
Man.
Everything that we are covering, it's either informative for our viewers in this region, or it's some type of, we have a brand called Heartland Strong, which is just, sometimes people are just tired of hearing about COVID-19, or, maybe hearing from Dr. Fauci or your state governors. So we like to mix it up a little bit and talk about how we are coming together to just, keep the pulse of the people going. And so, for example, one of the stories that I did, which was kind of cute, I think it was last week. So Special Olympics, that's Olympics for special needs kids. And it got canceled for this summer. And as you may or may not know, but like, these kids kind of need stuff like that to keep them going and keep them motivated. And so just a little quick piece on like how that's impacted them with it being canceled. And, a young girl in this area, she is not deaf, but she's hard of hearing. So she made these really cool masks where you can see the person's mouth. Because think about it. If you can't hear what I'm saying and my mouth is covered, you're typically used to watching lips. So she was innovative and made a mask.
That's smart. That's
right?
Cool. That's real cool.
And so just highlighting people like that. It's coronavirus related, but it's a feel good story.
So in Cape Girardeau, I'd imagine, do you get noticed, like when you just go out and you're just walking around, do a lot of people stop you and take pictures, say, oh, that's Brittany?
Yeah, we don't. I don't think people try to take the pictures as much as they like, as much as you would think they do. But they'll stop and say, either they'll stare and they won't say anything, or they'll like.
What is that like though?
It takes some getting used to, honestly. Just going to the grocery store and people looking at. That's why, honestly, when I am just Brittany and I'm not working, I dress down. I
Mm-hmm.
wear caps. I wear, workout clothes so I can go in and out, and people wouldn't even know the difference.
Mm.
But if I go in like with my makeup on, and it's like, oh hey, you did such a good job. I mean, it's good. I think it makes for a good community. I mean, you can't be on TV and not like people.
10 years from now, what are we saying about Brittany?
No, that's a good question. Oh my goodness. In 10 years, I really would hope to have reached a pinnacle, hopefully, of my career. And what that looks like, I mean, my dream goals is to be a national correspondent, and which is a person kind of like in the role I am in now, anchoring and reporting, but doing it on the national level. And so I hope that I can look back at this and be like, wow, I said that, and it came to fruition. But at the end of the day, Josh, I think most importantly, what I am, I'm actually listening to this. Have you heard of Mike Todd? He's a pastor.
No, I haven't heard of him.
Okay, all right. He's kind of like I wouldn't call it like a trendy, but he's a very well-known pastor. And nowadays, especially in the last few months, he's gotten really popular with his relationship goals and with his book and his podcast. And he's a pastor in Transformation Church in Tulsa. Anyways, he has this series called Rip the List, and I'm listening to that right now. And it's just a reminder, and I was running today and I was listening to that, and it's just a reminder that sometimes we have these ideas of what we want to be in life and have all these dreams and all these goals and all these desires, but it's like ultimately God has a plan and a destiny and a purpose for all of us. And it's like, do you want to do what you want to do, or do you want to live by God's purpose and his will for you? And so right now I'm in a space where I'm just continuing to bloom where I'm planted, which is right here. And, I think ultimately, I have goals. Like I said, I have dreams, but like, I'm flexible to God's will for me. And I know that's weird in today's society, but I've done what I think I've wanted to do. I think I'm at a place now where I want to do ultimately what God has for my destiny.
What do you want people? How do you want to be remembered?
I would say, for where I am right now, and where I want to be, I want people to just remember me and my family and my future kids as, I always think about like my future daughter. And I want her to remember that, like, okay, your mom took a leap of faith. Your mom trusted God and she did what she loves to do. One. And two, that anything is possible. But through my legacy, I just want people to look up and say, wow, that is a fair, honest, truthful journalist. And she does it, with class and with honor and with dignity. And I think that, there are many ladies that have had that legacy, but I don't know what my legacy will mean for my family and my future kids. It may mean something different for the people in my immediate circle. It may mean something different just for one person. And so I just want to be remembered as a person, that loved hard and that did what she loved, that took a leap of faith, and that honestly just, obviously put God first, and that did the things that she loved.
What do you say to that person coming into Howard that's trying to, walk in the shoes of Thurgood Marshall, of Puff Daddy, of Brittany Jacob, but at the same time trying to do it and be happy and well-rounded and, create their own identity? What do you say to that person?
I think exactly what the latter part of what you said is creating your own identity. I think that we have so many ancestors and pro-fights and people that have gone to Howard that have paved the way, that, you know, people that have just done some amazing things. So it's like, okay, where do I fit in this?
Mm-hmm.
And the thing about it is you have your own story, you have your own journey, and you got to embrace that. And so in order to embrace it, you got to be true to yourself, and not trying to impress upon somebody or do an organization because it seems cool, or, you know, not try to fit in with a group of, you know, women that you don't like or you can't trust. It's like, be who you are, be authentic and true to yourself. That's the first thing. And you know, I think it's important that when you're on the Mecca, I mean, there's so many. One thing that I remember is like, it's so many talented, beautiful women and guys too, but I'm talking about women. I was like, dang, like these chicks aren't playing out here. It's so easy to get intimidated by that, because you start comparing yourself and you start saying, man, you know, she's president of that, she comes from this type of family.
Yeah, talk about that. I mean, you know, we didn't touch on that, but talk about what it's like to be a woman. You still learning about yourself, and then you stepping on Howard's campus.
No, man, that was hard. Honestly, that was really hard, because it's almost like it's like this evil cloud of comparison that comes over. You're like, oh my gosh, well, you know, I don't have as much money as her, I don't have as many clothes as her, or, you know, her grades are better than mine, or she got a better intern. I mean, there's so much to compare yourself to on a university like that. And I think at some point, I think it did, you know, it did overtake me for maybe like a couple of weeks. But then I realized that, you know, none of us are perfect at the end of the day, one. And two, you know, I can either hate and envy these women, or I can embrace them, love them, and support them. And I just decided to do the latter. And I think, again, going back to doing an organization, it taught you, like, okay, like, for example, my line sisters are some boss. I mean, I have doctors and lawyers and, you know, artists and some amazing line sisters and amazing pro fights, you know, like beauty editor of magazines. Like, there are some amazing people in my network, and that inspires me, rather than, you know, it doesn't confuse me. It doesn't make me envious or jealous. And I think that once you get that, if you can get that in life, I think that you can be so much better off, because not even just outside of the Black women in our industry, a lot of women are like this. And I think if you can get to a place where you can love on your sister and encourage them and keep them motivated and remind them how beautiful they are with their natural hair, or with, you know, like in their career, or it's just anything like that. I think that is so important. But everybody's their own individual, and you have to have your own identity in this.
What do you say to people when they're like, yo, the world isn't all Black, so why would I go to a Black college? Or, you know, Howard don't have the resources, why would I go to a Black college? Because, you know, granted, we are a little bit, even though, you know, I feel like there are Black colleges, like they are not created equally. I get that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so,
I know what you mean.
You know, Howard is kind of on a pedestal, but at the same time, when you compare the resources that we have to like University of Texas, like you said, no, we don't have sports facilities like that and cutting edge X, Y, and Z and a million cafeterias and tech labs. We don't have that. I mean, what do you say to people that say, you know, why would you go to a Black school? Because the world is not all Black. We don't have the same resources. What's your response to that?
No, that's a good question. And I can only talk from experience. Like I told my brother and my cousin, when they were deciding to make their choice, I told them, I was like, this experience will open your mind to how to be Black in America, almost. Like it's weird to say it, but it's like we have so much more history outside of the stereotypes that society have put on us. And it's like, I think that when you can go, like I said before, and you can see, you know, people from Trinidad and Tobago, or for people from Nigeria or West Africa, you know, or from Canada or London. So I think it just goes back to community. And so for me, it's like, I walk into a newsroom, I walk into a job, and when it says Howard University on my resume, people recognize our school. They say that's the Black Harvard. And I think that that's the part that's like, it stands out. It's the experience and the community at Howard brings, along with the name recognition that you can't get anywhere else. I'm sorry, you can't.
So Brittany, I mean, if people want to follow you, get in touch with you, ask you for advice, how do folks find you?
I think the easiest way is Instagram, probably. On Instagram, it's Brittany J. Jacob, and that's BrittanyJacob. And, you know, shoot me a message and follow me. Facebook is Brittany Jacob at KFVS, and Twitter is BJacobKFVS.
Nice, man. So cool. So now you about to get some stalkers, because I was stalking you to get on the show, so I appreciate you responding. So
I was stalking you too. I'm like, who's about to be interviewing me?
So yeah, so she does respond to her Instagram, so I can vouch for that. So we're gonna do a little bit of rapid fire, and now the way this rapid fire works, you just have to give an answer, and you cannot expound on the answer. Okay, or if I say a word, you can't You just have to say the first thought that comes to your head. We're going to start off. So you got to bench one, start one, and cut one, okay? Scarface, Slim Thug, and DJ Screw. That's probably easy.
Yeah, well, obviously Slim Thug is going to be on my starting team. Scarface is going to be benched, and whoever the other third person was, they're cut.
Hey, Black Instagram gonna come after you when they see this. That's good though. I like that.
That's fine. Slim Thug.
Let me ask you this one next. U Street or Adams Morgan?
U Street.
Okay. Is homecoming fun better as an alum or a student?
Definitely alum.
Booty wall.
Booty wall, yes. That was the quad.
You was on the booty wall? Oh man.
No. It was right outside of the quad. My room was right there. My room faced the booty wall.
Oh, so that answers the next question. I was gonna say quad or annex.
Quad all day. What do they do? Is that how you do it?
Oh, I don't even remember that. Which part were you in?
I was in Baldwin, third floor.
Baldwin, third floor. Okay. Drew Hall or Carver?
Drew.
Okay.
Carver was not popping like that.
It wasn't. No, I'm Drew Hall, third floor. So I agree with that. Alpha chapter.
Delta Sigma Theta.
Okay.
Absolutely, without a question.
Gayle King.
What do I say about Gayle King?
I don't know. The first thing that comes to mind.
Oh crap. Interview CBS This Morning.
Okay. You got to cut one, start one, put them on the bench. ABC News, Fox News, CNN.
CNN's on the bench. Fox is being cut. I'm starting with ABC.
You got to cut one, start one, put one on the bench. Convocation, graduation, homecoming.
Ooh. All right. I would say homecoming starting. I'm benching graduation, and convocation. I got to cut it.
Ooh. Jordan or LeBron?
Jordan.
Oh, good. Good stuff. I like hearing that. All right. That wraps that up with rapid fire. We'll get into some Jeopardy now.
Oh, gosh.
All right. So let's see what you know about your beloved alma mater, who you had all these great things about. So I know you know the history of our beloved school. So you're going to get all these right. I know it.
It's been a long time, but we'll see.
What is the address of the quad?
Oh, my gosh. I know it's on 4th Street. Is it 2400 4th Street?
Ooh.
1600 4th Street. I don't remember. I got 4th Street though.
Seriously?
Oh, that's sad.
Yes.
How many schools and colleges does Howard have?
13.
Very good. Very good. Who is the current president of Howard?
Dr. Wayne Frederick.
Very good. What year was Howard founded?
Say it again.
I said, what year was Howard founded?
1867.
Did I ask that? Okay. Finish this sentence. Reared against.
We're against.
Reared against the eastern sky.
Probably on a hilltop high.
Good, good. Finish this sentence. I'm so glad I go to HU.
I'm so glad I go to Howard. I'm so glad I go to. Yeah, I just know that part. Oh, and not a white school. And not a white school. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
It took me a while on that one. I had to like sing the song.
No, that's all good. It's all good. So that wraps it up for Jeopardy. You did a good job. I've been around people that, man, they got them all wrong. So, you know what? Did I ask you this question? One last question.
Yeah.
What zip code is Howard in?
It is. Oh my gosh, I've lived in so many zip codes. It's I cannot remember the zip code. Hold on. 77 is Houston. I'm in 62. I do not remember. I don't remember.
Oh man.
Addresses are not my thing.
20059. That's the Howard zip code.
That's it.
You lit though. Don't worry
about it.
If I
still lived in DC, that would be easy.
Yeah, for sure. Whatever helps you sleep at night, Brittany. But anyway, thank you so much for coming on the show, man. It's been a pleasure getting to know you.
Thank you so much.